Well, hello again. Here I am with another one of my issues where I'm going to prepare the yes and no answers and then give you my take at the end. Today's question is, can I rely on homeopathy? As I guess most of you know by now, homeopathy is a medical, clinical therapy to treat sundry diseases that relies on successive dilutions of carefully prepared substances given to the patient, usually in pill form, which are allegedly designed to trigger a response in the body which leads to a cure for whatever the problem is. So that's a kind of a badly phrased definition, but you get the idea. Okay, let's look at the yes reasons for people who think you should rely on homeopathy. Well, the first one is an obvious thing. Supporters will say that they have been cured of disease. They've used homeopathic remedies prescribed by homeopathic practitioners, and it's worked for them. They've had a painful malady, they've had a chronic problem of some sort, they've undergone homeopathic therapy and been cured. So what more can you ask than that? The second reason for supporting it is that it's really not all that unpleasant. It's not painful, it's not intrusive, and in fact, it doesn't even have any side effects. That's not an inconsiderable benefit when you compare it to more traditional pharmaceutical therapies. A student in one of my strategy classes once said to me, and he worked for a pharmaceutical company, never forget that all drugs are basically poisons. They're there to kill some kind of pathogen or cell, and therefore they are disruptive. They're going to stir things up inside your body. Well, not so with homeopathic preparations. So that's pretty good. A third one is that there would seem to be benefit from the way in which homeopaths treat patients. They spend time with them. They find out about their patient history. They are not under pressure to move them out for the next patient, presumably, and provide an atmosphere of well-being and ease, which in itself must help the therapeutic process. The Enlightenment French philosopher Voltaire once said, "The job of the doctor is to amuse the patient while nature cures the disease." I guess there's something to that, and I suppose it really applies here. A fourth reason is that Prince Charles has always been a strong backer of homeopathy, and in fact has recently become the patron of the principal professional group in homeopathy, the Faculty of Homeopathy, I believe it's called. Well, that's certainly an indication of his belief in the process. I assume that he uses it to deal with whatever diseases he may encounter. And how could a smart chap like Prince Charles not be right about something like this? Okay, there are certainly some no answers. I suppose the principal one is that it seems to be very dubious scientifically. The evidence is at best compromised. The Parliamentary House on Science and Technology, or whatever it's called, recently did quite a big examination of the subject and concluded that homeopathy simply doesn't have the evidence to suggest that it works. In fact, the chief scientific advisor at the time, when testifying, stated that it was rubbish. So that's a pretty hard judgment there. Second, you will occasionally encounter studies that demonstrate that homeopathy does work. My guess is that they are mathematically and logically compromised. If you want to understand a little bit about how scientific studies can go wrong, I couldn't recommend a better book than one called Bad Science by a chap named Ben Goldacre, Gold, A-C-R-E. I read it and was hugely impressed. There are all kinds of ways in which studies of any kind of controversial subject can be biased toward the answer that the sponsors want, and he uses homeopathy heavily in his examples. The science, I'm afraid, just isn't to be believed. A third point is that it's dangerous. Using it as a substitute for conventional medicine can really be life-threatening if you get it wrong. And there are people who are so adamant about holistic medicine in opposition to traditional medicine that they will go that route even in the most serious of situations. Well, I think that's dangerous and irresponsible. Next, we must deal with the subject of the placebo effect. And that is the notion that even if you take something that has no impact on you, if you think it's helping you, it probably will. And I'm sure that there are very valid examples of that. But of course, it's the same thing with witch doctors in the darkest jungle. If people believe that their therapy works and they get better, then the cure is ascribed to that person. On the other hand, the placebo effect can have real value for people who strongly believe in it. So we can't dismiss it out of hand, but I would say that it must be treated with care, especially when one is dealing with, for example, the diseases of children who can't speak for themselves. They can't tell you, well, I have doubts about this particular therapy you're throwing at me, and just because you say it'll make me feel better and therefore I will get better, I'm sorry, that's just not good enough. Well, what's my take on all of this? Gosh, I think it's really a kind of sad situation. I do believe that well-meaning people, including those in the industry as well as those who use it, have had positive experiences for some of the reasons that I've mentioned. But I'm afraid to say that the science is utterly invalid. And so, as a consequence, when dealing with placebo medicine, one must be very careful not to endanger yourself, or for that matter, your loved ones, with a belief that you hold on a kind of an ideological basis rather than the basis of fact and evidence. Okay, well, once again, I hope I haven't upset anybody with that, but it's a tough subject. So there you have it. If you liked it, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and, see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.